Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're setting off on what I like to call a bit of an intellectual detective story. We're going to track down the true meaning of two massive, foundational fields in the social sciences: sociology and anthropology. Now, if you've ever found yourself wondering exactly where the boundary lies between studying a society and studying humanity itself, well, you are in the exact right place. We're going to look closely at the language, the founding figures, and the incredibly diverse perspectives that literally built these disciplines from the ground up.
Here's our roadmap for today. First, the roots of the words. Second, the founding fathers. Third, defining human interaction. Fourth, systems, actions, and structures. Fifth, defining anthropology. And finally, the common threads. Let's get to it.
Section 1. The roots of the words.
So, the origin of the word sociology is actually quite simple. The term itself is a hybrid. It takes the Latin word socius, or societas, which translates beautifully to companion or society, and it fuses that right together with the Greek word logos, meaning study or science. So at its absolute core, if you strip away all the dense academic jargon, sociology is quite literally the science of society. Or, honestly, even more poetically, it's the study of the process of companionship.
Section 2. The Founding Fathers.
We've got to begin with the French philosopher Auguste Comte. He is traditionally recognized as the true father of sociology. In fact, he formally coined the term way back in 1838 in his work, Positive Philosophy, after initially toying with the name social physics. And if you look at his definition, he kept it remarkably straightforward. To Comte, sociology was simply the science or study of society. His big pitch was that the rigorous, strict methods we use in the natural sciences should be applied directly to the study of our own society.
Next up, we have Emil Durkheim, who sharpened the focus considerably. He defines sociology as the science of social institutions. Now, I really want to emphasize that term, social institutions. I want you to imagine the massive, load-bearing pillars of a society. Durkheim wasn't just looking at random people passing each other on the street, right? He was looking at the economy, religion, the education system, the family unit. He wanted to study the organized, established structures that heavily shape our daily lives.
And then we have Max Weber. His definition is, well, it's a bit denser, but it's incredibly profound. He defines sociology as the science which attempts the interpretive understanding of social action in order thereby to arrive at a causal explanation of its course and effects. Okay, let's slow down and unpack that jargon for a second. Interpretive understanding and social action. Weber is shifting the focus entirely to human motivation here. He's saying we can't just look at the outside structure. We have to interpret exactly why individuals take the actions they do in a social context and how those specific actions cause ripple effects throughout the rest of society.
Section 3. Defining human interaction. Now, as the discipline grew, notice the pattern among these mid-century thinkers. You've got L.T. Hobhouse observing the interaction of human minds, George Simmel questioning the rules by which men behave, Henry Pratt Fairchild and Morris Ginsburg echo this whole vibe by focusing on human environments and interrelations. The absolutely crucial point here is that these scholars treat society not as some giant, faceless, abstract thing, but as a living, breathing web of interconnected minds and strict rules of behavior. For them, it's all about the connection points between individual people.
Meanwhile, another wave of thinkers zoomed way out to the macro level. Lester Frank Ward and W.F. Ogburn focused broadly on social phenomena and social life. Robert E. Park elegantly termed it the science of collective behavior. Ferdinand Tönnies looked at the theory of human living together, while Kingsley Davis brought it right back to basics as a general science of society. Basically, these guys are looking at the entire hive, not just the individual bees.
Section 4. Systems, Actions, and Structures.
Notice the subtle shift in vocabulary with this next group. R.M. MacIver looks for principles of cohesion and order within the social structure. Franklin Henry Giddings points to the physical causes behind the structure and activities of society. Petirim Alexandrovich Sorokin maps out manifold interconnections, and Alex Ingalls studies systems of social action. They are essentially mapping out the invisible scaffolding that keeps a society from collapsing into total chaos. The big takeaway here is that massive focus on social structure.
And this brings us to a really beautiful modern synthesis of all these ideas. Anthony Giddens defines sociology as the study of human groups and societies, giving particular emphasis to the industrialized world. And then, the Penguin Dictionary of Sociology gives us this fantastic unifying definition. It calls it the analysis of the structure of social relationships as constituted by social interaction. Do you see how brilliantly that merges the idea of the grand social structure from our macro thinkers with the social interaction from our micro thinkers? It's pretty much the perfect academic handshake.
Section 5. Defining anthropology.
Okay, shifting gears entirely, let's look at the roots of our sister science. Anthropology is formed from two Greek words, anthropos, meaning human being, and logos, meaning science or study. So, while sociology was the study of companionship or society, anthropology is the science or study of humanity itself. That is a subtle but absolutely crucial difference in scope.
And this brilliantly illustrates what happens when we consult the major textbook definitions. Whether you're reading Ember and Ember, Conrad Philip Kotek, the American Anthropological Association, William A. Haviland, or James Peoples and Garrick Bailey, they all zero in on something that sociology often leaves out of the equation entirely.
The core definition across the board here is that anthropology studies variations, both biological and cultural, in human populations. I want to slow down significantly here because this is the absolute key: biological and cultural variations. This means anthropology doesn't just look at how humans vote today or how they organize modern families. It looks at the physical, biological evolution of the human animal over millennia, side by side with the development of our cultures. It's the deep time study of human diversity. It captures literally every physical and social difference that makes us who we are as a species.
So, let's put them head to head so you have a crystal clear understanding of their boundaries. Sociology focuses primarily on social institutions, social interactions, and group behavior, usually in a more contemporary or structural sense. Anthropology, conversely, focuses on the biological and cultural variations of humanity across time and populations, encompassing a much wider evolutionary and historical scale. Honestly, they're really just two sides of the same fascinating coin of human existence.
Section 6. The common threads.
Now, first off, it's important to note, with a healthy bit of academic humility I might add, that the textbooks themselves admit no single definition is entirely satisfactory. Because modern sociology and anthropology are so incredibly diverse, pinning them down to one flawless sentence is nearly impossible. But a really close review does reveal some absolute common threads.
If we distill all 18 of those scholarly perspectives down, we get these basic characteristics. Sociology is the science of society and social interactions. It studies human behavior in groups as well as social actions and systems. But the word I want to place massive emphasis on here is objectively. Sociology intends to study social life objectively. It acts as a categorical discipline, not a normative one. That means it isn't trying to say what society ought to be. It is rigorously, scientifically trying to map out exactly what it actually is, without bias. Which brings us to the end of our intellectual detective story, and honestly, leaves me with a question for you. Think about the complex web of interactions, the massive institutions, and the cultural variations in your own everyday life. If you were asked to step back and objectively define the structure of your own society today, using the tools of Comte, Weber, or Durkheim, where would you even begin? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the structures around you.